It's Monday, May 24th, 2021, and I'm back at the Miami AMTRAK terminal or station or whatever they call it here. It's not a very big building. It's in sort of a crappy industrial area. It does look like there's at least one train lined up here today. Maybe it's ours. Got the baggage car. 1, 2, 3 sleeper cars, and then the kind of dining cafe car, and then I don't know how many coach cars. And then the 2 locomotives. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, at least 7. At least 7 coach cars. Okay, it's 8:10, the scheduled departure time for the Silver Meteor.
Miami, running brake test. On the way, over. Running test ahead, 90.
They're doing a brake test while we leave the station.
Run brake test, 90.
The Silver Meteor runs from Miami, Florida, up through Georgia, specifically Jessup, Savannah, and then into South Carolina, then North Carolina, then Virginia, Washington, D.C., then continues up through Maryland and New Jersey. It actually does stop at in Delaware at Wilmington and Philadelphia, continues on up through New Jersey, and ends normally at New York Penn Station. There is some information on the schedule that suggests it continues somehow to Boston, but I'm not clear on that. I may be misreading the schedule when I see that part. It certainly goes to New York. I'm getting off at Washington, D.C. I took a similar train, the Silver Star, south from D.C. Roughly a week ago, and ended up in Miami, whereupon I visited friends in the Florida Keys, and then did a brief exploration of Key West, and then the bridges of the Florida Keys and the Transoceanic Highway, part of a bridge Odyssey that's in conjunction with this train Odyssey. And then I spent 3 days in the Florida Everglades trying to participate in various different activities that are in line with the Everglades and see the sights, do some hiking, exploring. And now I'm back. Once I'm in DC, I'm going to be doing a little more visiting and exploring in Virginia before returning home. So I'm a little bit more than halfway through my 2-week trip. So a bit of a commentary on Miami from an AMTRAK standpoint. For a significant city such as Miami, they may in fact have the station they deserve. Maybe there isn't really that much ridership coming here, but it's a pretty minimal station. It's not much better than some of the bigger metro commuting stations in the Chicago area that I'm familiar with. And certainly I think it probably qualifies as the smallest AMTRAK station I've personally used. And that's mostly because I take the long distance trains, and I take them usually from end to end, which are usually from large Union Station type structures, as opposed to the smaller market stations. One thing I noted about the Miami station was that even though this train leaves just a few minutes after 8, the station itself does not open till 7 o'clock. And since I was taking a taxi from my hotel, and I've had bad luck with the punctuality of taxis and sometimes the need to call 2 or 3 taxi companies before finally they get somebody over, I built in a little bit of slop into my schedule to make sure I wasn't going to get here to the station too late. And of course then the taxi arrived perfectly on time, and I had to sit around outside the station for well over half an hour before they opened up the doors. That's something to bear in mind if you're traveling there, and if you're an older person like me, or really anybody, just be aware that once you get to the station, if it's not open, there is nowhere around to go if you have to, for example, use the bathroom or anything like that, or get some food. There's nothing. You're stranded in a industrial area, nothing walkable within distance. or nothing within a walking distance. So again, it's not like, for example, any of the big stations, which are quite close to other amenities, should you need them. There's also nothing to explore. On the other hand, it's not a layover station, it's an end-of-the-line station. So if you get there, then you're done. And if you're leaving from there, you're starting. You're not in the middle of a train trip. And I've cleaned the inside of the windows, but you can see how incredibly cruddy they are on the outside. I'm hoping once the sun gets to a higher angle in the sky that it won't be quite so bad for photography. On the other hand, I've taken essentially the same train better part of a week ago. Actually, it was a week ago, in the guise of the Silver Star. So the scenery should be pretty much the same. I think there are some small differences in the route, and certainly the timing of going through different areas. But there's probably nothing that's going to happen during the daytime that I haven't seen already. And I was on the same side of the train, so I'm not even looking out the other side of the train from what I got coming in. So a little bit about the room. I covered this in the second part of this same train Odyssey. But this is a Viewliner car. This is the most recent version of it. I've read conflicting reports. Some reports have said these are brand new cars, but everything else I'd run across said that they are just renovated older cars. And I'm sticking with that story unless I hear something more authoritative to the contrary. So I think this is the same exact consist that I came down on as the Silver Star. Certainly the car numbers of the sleeper cars are exactly the same. I don't know if that follows the specific train and its consist, or if that's just what they always call every train on the Silver Star. But certainly the 9810, I think it was 9810. Maybe I'm getting it wrong. Yeah, the 9810, the 9811, and the 9812 are the sleeper car numbers on this train, as they were on the Silver Star coming the other way. And I spotted through the windows that the 9811 was the older style Viewliner, while 9810 and 9812 are the renovated types. And that, again, is consistent with what I got coming the other way. So once again, I am in a renovated Viewliner roomette, and the primary differences between these renovated versions and the original versions is that the in-suite toilet that used to be there is, thank goodness, gone. So we don't have those urine soaked and stained upholsteries and carpeting that used to be a problem with the Viewliner in its older version. There is still the sink right behind where my backpack is. That's been retained, although it's a different sink. They've put in a more modern sink. And the other main thing, besides just newer upholstery, newer curtains, is all of the electrics are new.
Find a seat. Hold on, I'm getting this baby cranked up. Here we go.
You know, the switches are new, the reading lights are LEDs.
Super fast, like you've been training with ankle weights for the last 2 months.
They have visibility LEDs on many of the lighting panels, presumably so you can find them in the dark.
Doing a parachute tied to my back running. There you go.
And once again, I've got my airline carry-on sized suitcase. And then I have my backpack for everything else. I have my light sweater covering up the 2 AMTRAK pillows because they make too much reflection on the window glass. And as usual, I have my outlet strip with the power pack for my GPS, the power pack for my scanner, the charger for my Kindle, the charger for my camera battery, and the power pack charger for my smartphone. And I still have one slot left over on the power strip. Because of the arrangement of the room, they have added additional outlets. It used to be the only outlet in the Viewliner roomette was right up next to the sink, right in the corner behind where the backpack is there.
98 got an advanced approach, 1029.9 on the 2-track.
There's also an outlet
Advanced approach, 2-track,
back down there. So there's basically an outlet on each end of the car, or each end of the room. But because now I'm on this train going the other direction, when I was on the Silver Star, I was in that seat in order to be facing forward, and now I'm in the bigger seat facing forward. So I decided to arrange my outlet strip there instead of over here, and I just snaked my power cord up over there. You can kind of see it. That's just a regular extension cord because the short cord on the power strip won't reach all the way.
You are going the wrong way down the street.
Yeah, my GPS isn't smart enough to know that I'm not on a street. Let's see, so everything is otherwise pretty normal. The scanner, you've already heard it, is singing out all of the communications. And this should be a pretty relaxing trip going through Florida northbound during the day. The schedule has us, let's see, departing Florida around 5 o'clock late this afternoon at Jacksonville, and then making our way up through Savannah, 7:30 in that area, then into South Carolina, and by the time we get to Yemassee, South Carolina, it'll be getting dark. Then the train is basically rolling all night, and I'm getting off at DC. It gets in at about 7 a.m. tomorrow morning, so slightly less than 24 hours trip duration for me.
All tracks, no flaggers, sorry. CMW, over. I think it's AMTRAK 98, going back direction. One with a false partial, Griffin Road, 101621. That is correct.
That was the engineer talking to the dispatcher about a automatic warning device actuation. I think he believes that it's a false positive.
Partial, Griffin Road, 101621. That is... Go! Right. Alright.
At 8:33 we pull into Hollywood.
We'll be working out of that second door all the way up. 198, that false partial, Griffin Road ahead, 101621. Alright.
And we're paralleling I-94, or I-95 rather. And we are in the middle of rush hour, although that's always a busy interstate, I think. 847 into Fort Lauderdale. Okay, a little bit about the route. Of course, we start down here in Miami, and we just go all the way up here, and then cut across more or less like this, and go up to Orlando, and then follow a route not along I-95, but more in amongst these lakes up here, zigzagging around here and ending up in Jacksonville. And then there isn't that much of Georgia to go through, but we pretty much just follow from Jacksonville. We follow I-95 up along here up to Savannah, at which point we cross over into South Carolina. So we come into Virginia here and pretty much just follow I-95 up past Petersburg and up through Richmond, and then the route goes up to Washington, D.C., which is where I'm getting off, but otherwise it does continue through Baltimore and pretty much hugs the coastal cities up to New York City. I don't know that I had a chance to stick my head in one of the renovated Viewliner bedrooms, but it is still pretty much the same layout as it was before, just fixed up electrics and upholstery and some of the hardware and so on. So continuing on to the dining car. I'm not sure where we've stopped here. We're at the tail end of the train, and the part of the station that has signs is still ahead of us. I've decided to order my breakfast and take it back to my room. They would have also brought it back to my room, or I could have eaten it here, but there are so few tables available. I decided that you know, some of them are already filling up. I decided not to hog one since I'm by myself, if a larger group of people come here and want to sit together, then I'll let them have it. And at 9:10, we're pulling out of whatever station it is. This is where we just stopped. Handicapped accessible room in the Viewliner. So kind of like a bedroom, but just arranged a little differently. Still has the same window. There's a little extra room for something like a wheelchair or something, and it does have its own toilet and a more substantial sink. And it's open directly into the hallway instead of having to navigate down the narrow aisles. On the way down, I was in room 10. This time I'm in room 9. Although I wasn't in this car, I was in 9812 coming down. So it's the last car on this train, and it's the rearmost of the 3 sleeper cars. This time I'm in the frontmost of the 3 sleeper cars. But again, like I said before, I think it's the same exact train. Delray Beach at 9:25. So I've got the omelet again, but they screwed up. They forgot to put any of the condiments in here. Salt and pepper and other stuff that they had put on here previously. Crossed under I-95 and are now northeast bound, following this canal. And I think we're probably in West Palm Beach at this point. We're doing here at 9:47 and it's 9:42. So we may still have a couple of minutes of rolling before we get to that station.
You are going the wrong way down the street.
No, I'm not. It does it with such a accusatory Of course, I think the times on the AMTRAK schedule are actually departure times, not necessarily arrival times. There's my blueberry muffin, partially consumed. So 9:52, we're pulling out of West Palm Beach. Okay, we're sailing along here at 10 o'clock, paralleling State Route 710, heading for Okeechobee. And this highway is the one that makes a beeline straight as an arrow from West Palm Beach to Okeechobee. And now that we're not getting the sun directly in the window, the dirt is less apparent. They just made...
138 Bay North, clear, boat. Clear, 90.
The conductor just made... I think it was the conductor, didn't sound like my car attendant, made an announcement clarifying what a lot of people were wondering, including me, was even though all the other announcements and signs and everything say you must wear your mask at all times while aboard an AMTRAK train, it doesn't even, most of those notices don't even make exception for eating meals or brushing your teeth. But you know, a lot of people apparently were wondering about whether they needed to wear them in their rooms. I didn't wear mine in my room on the way down, but they just clarified you do not need to wear your mask in your room or roomette as long as your door to the aisle is closed. Once the door is open or once you leave your room, on needs to go the mask. Been some discussion on the scanner about resetting a breaker, something the conductor...
to land in Minsk. It shows two things, I think. Firstly,
that wasn't the scanner, that was my phone starting to talk to itself.
98, we got a clear signal at Yale. Clear 98. AMTRAK train 98 calling JH Hewitt, over. Morning, we got engine AMTRAK 138 throughs. Light permission for your work, carry over. Number 98 understands okay through JH Hewitt's work limits from the FX 937.3 to the .1. Man equipment clear. Authorized speed for the train. That correct? Over. Back 1017. Alright, good at 1017. Appreciate it. You have a good day out there. 98 out. 98 clear through Hewitt. Maximum authorized speed. Good copy.
This is Indian Town. And we're passing through Taylor Creek, which is just on the east side of Okeechobee. We're coming up on the crossing of Florida Highway 70 just ahead here. I presume it will be at grade, but I'm not sure. No, it's overhead. Okay.
Thanks, man. All's good on 90.
And this is Okeechobee.
98, 138, main north, approach, south end Okeechobee. Approach, 98.
Should be coming coming up on the downtown any second. There goes their station.
Okay, so there'll be 40 at the south end after 98 gets by. After 98, when they go by, you'll get a signal location out of the Satin, and there'll be your permission after 99 that signal to put the switch back in handle. That's right, that's right. Yep, and yep, I said 10:30, over. Yeah, well, I got Billy too. Here we go. Appreciate it. Choo-choo.
Coming up where we're going to join US Highway 98 here on the right.
CSX equipment of 88.
to 11:15. We've gone all the way from Miami up here, and then diagonally along 710 up to Okeechobee, and then we've continued diagonally, and now we're just in between Florida and Spring Lake. Citrus groves galore. This should be Sebring. It's a station stop. We're due in at 11:23, and that's exactly what time it is. And there was the sign. I just ordered lunch already. It seemed kind of early, having just had breakfast about an hour or so ago, but I'm having it nonetheless. Okay, let's see where we go from here. So we're here at Sebring, and we're going to go up this way. We do go to Winter Haven, but then it looks like we forego the Lakeland Tampa part and continue straight on to Dade City, Wildwood, blah 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 blah. We make our way up to Orlando via way of Kissimmee and Orlando, and then Winter Park, which is up there somewhere, and D-Land up here, and Palatka, which is here, right in the middle of the screen, Palatka. So like I said before, we're kind of sneaking around the St. Johns River there, and then up to Jacksonville. So yeah, that's another distinction, that the Silver Meteor does not bother going to Tampa. I lied before when I said the Florida part of the route was identical between the Silver Meteor and the Silver Star. So at 11:28, we're pulling out of Sebring. And it looks like we're not on the best side of the station. Oh, maybe we are. Sebring. While the outer lying parts of Sebring seem to be more or less normal in their arrangement, the downtown area seems to be arranged streetwise as a spider web pattern, which is kind of cool. I hadn't seen that exact layout. It's not like Washington D.C.'s wagon wheel approach. It has some of that in it, but then all the connecting streets are interconnected such that it's very much like a spider web. If at least one of the grade school or high school sports teams doesn't have some sort of spider as their mascot, then they're missing an opportunity. .37 into Avon Park. It is not a stop though. On the map it's just there north of Sebring. Track's a little bumpy, I can't hold the camera still. US Highway 27, which is on the other side of the train, but by zooming through the unoccupied room number 10,
Got clear signal, 854.5.
I can get some glimpses of it. Presently, we're going to cross under or over US Highway 27. Under, as it turns out. So now it'll be on our right side, but it looks like probably not all that close.
Ross Room, DD, 30 to 99.
Crossing US Highway 98 any second now. And this one we're over. Town of Lake Wales. We're just on the west side of it, actually. Coming up on crossing Florida Highway 60. And there it is. Up to 80. At 12:03, we're at Eagle Lake, right there in the middle of the picture below Winter Haven.
Let's make a deal and the price is right.
That's US Highway 17 we just passed under. As essentially in Winter Haven. And Winter Haven is a stop.
On a plane Franco for a chance to win $25,000.
We arrived here 1 minute before the scheduled departure time of 12:07. So I expect we'll be moving very quickly.
If you see Darlene, ask her where that lift's at. It ain't out here.
The lift is right there.
Garage?
Yeah, next to the float.
Okay. It was behind the float, blocking my view. I see it. Hey, leave it on approach limit, something. Down block, approach limit is anything.
Well, I may have told some incorrect tales earlier. AMTRAK doesn't give a really good detailed map on their website of the routes. It's kind of zoomed too far out. And I thought I had interpreted the schedule, but it's made worse that it just the way it depicts things. And now we're in Auburndale, which is right about here. But it is not a stop, if I understand the schedule correctly. So we were here on Winter Haven, and this is our train. This is connecting, and this is a non-starter here. So the next place we would be is Dade City or Zephyr Hills. And Zephyr Hills is here, and Dade City is here. But it doesn't show us actually going to Lakeland. So maybe we just pass through Lakeland. I'm sorry, Auburndale is here. Not here. Auburndale is here. Because it's got the arrow it's meaning we don't actually go there. We just skip over that. So the last thing we were at is Winter Haven. And then the next thing it shows us being at is Kissimmee. So Kissimmee is here. And from Auburndale, it does look like we are, in fact, more or less repeating the route we came in on the Silver Star. I guess all it's saying by these other things is that there's connecting services from this route to all those different cities by either other trains or by buses or something else. So we're not taking this other route. We do seem to be heading back in this direction. So we are now coming into Lake Alfred, which is Lake Alfred. That's US Highway 17. Well, the GPS says that it's 17-92. I don't know if that means it's 17 and 92. Anyway, we're definitely northeast of Lake Alfred.
138, Main North, Lake Alfred, clear. Clear, 90.
Should be passing along the shore of a small lake here, and there it is. Maybe it'll all be blocked, mostly blocked by trees. And now we're coming into Haines City, which is indeed, let's see, where's the dot? Right here. On our way to Kissimmee. Hear any horn blowing on this train. Maybe we're too far at the back of the train and it's a fairly long train, or maybe there just aren't that many uncontrolled crossings. So far the few crossings that we have are all controlled ones, so they don't need to sound their horn for those. You get into some other areas like that stretch we had on the Capital Limited, right along the border of Maryland, West Virginia, Pennsylvania, in that area, where it seemed the horn was just sounding constantly. And that was because there's just a plethora of small roads that cross the tracks, and none of them are controlled. So the horn sounding every time it approaches one, which is almost all the time. That's got to be very tiring for the engineer too, and not all that much fun for the passengers and the public who live in the area. For nobody. we're coming up on Davenport. Having to guess what that other train was that we just passed. It was going the other direction. It's way too late to be the Silver Star coming the other direction, unless it's just running very late, which could be. And it's way too early to be the Silver Meteor going the other way. So, I don't know. At 12:48, we just rolled through Intercession City, which is maybe too small. I don't know. Well, it is, but the next town isn't. So this appears to be Campbell. We are down here, right about in the middle of the screen where it says Lockman or Lohman and Campbell. Oops. So coming up on Kissimmee pretty quickly. We should be a little bit closer to downtown Campbell at this point. It's 12:53 and we're just rolling into the outskirts of Kissimmee. The schedule says we should arrive, or we should depart Kissimmee at 12:56, which is about 3 minutes from now, so it seems like we're right on schedule, allowing for a couple of minutes in the station. guy didn't want to wait, so he's been tortuously trying to... Oh, he's made it. The road's pretty narrow. I thought he was going to get himself boxed in like Austin Powers. This guy's using his phone to take pictures of the train. Like it's never come here before, I don't know. Maybe he's a tourist. Okay, train should be rolling according to schedule. I have to admit, always feeling a bit guilty when I'm on a train that's blocking some local road and for some reason the train is sitting there longer than it should be. And it looks like we are rolling. Yeah, so we're about 4 minutes late pulling out. Okay, the next stop after Kissimmee is Orlando. So we're here. It's just a short hop to Orlando. I don't recall where within the Orlando area it is, but presumably it's in Orlando proper, which would mean it would be over here this way and not too far from where we are. In the afternoon, and we are coming up on Taft. We're just to the west of Orlando International Airport. And crossing, I think it's State Highway 528 here.
Yeah, hold on. Got brakes on the bottom. Good.
lunch is a little late in coming. Should have been here 15 minutes ago. And I guess this must be the Orlando station. It is 1:20 and the schedule says we should pull in at 1:21. So really on schedule. And we've got about a 15-minute sit here before we move again. Should be about 1:35. Flashlight's on.
I killed them batteries. That's why them batteries only last a day.
This is the only item on the lunch and dinner menu that I have not tried so far on this train Odyssey. This is the enchiladas. 2 enchiladas with black beans and rice, and a roll that I'm not sure it's supposed to have butter, but there wasn't any butter with it, a brownie, and a Coke. Well, we're into the first delay on this trip. According to the schedule, we should have pulled out of Orlando at 1:35, and it's now 1:50. Still no budging. Nor has there been anything on the radio to explain what the delay's all about.